Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on a Wednesday evening. We are coming at you early for a very, very, very good reason. We will get to that later in the podcast. Hello, my name is Rod Morgan. You're joining us here on the Morgan You Know Podcasting Network. We have a couple of different shows that you can find on whatever podcast platform you're listening to, or you can find it on YouTube. Perhaps you're watching us there now. You can find it there later if you're interested in checking out our faces and you're just listening to this podcast on your particular platform. But do me a favor, give us a like, give us a follow, give us some stars, give us a comment, whatever free little thing you can do on your platform to let people know you stopped by and spent some time with us. We would appreciate it. We're going to do a sports show for you here first, and then we're going to talk about some sports entertainment on the back end. Joining me to do so are my merry men, my band of characters, my guys, the executive producer of this podcast, a man I will be going to the Royal Rumble in Indianapolis with in a very, very short time. But right now, we're here to talk football. His name is Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
The only thing I know better than wrestling is NFL football, especially wins and losses for teams, predicting them. Yes.
Yes, we will unfortunately have to get to some mea culpa, some apologies, some boasts, all of that when we wrap up kind of the year here and talk about the playoffs in the NFL. Joining us to do that, a man who has seen every single year the NFL has turned from the regular season to the postseason. He's our old man, and he feels a little bit older this week because he's removed 2 miles worth of snow on successive days. He's our guy, Chris King. Chris, hello.
Yes, that's true, Rod, but I am in good spirits because IU basketball has their best start in Big Ten play since the 2015 and 16 season. Let's go Hoosiers.
Here we are. How quickly we're from Kirk Cignetti, who, let's go, Mike Woodson and the Hoosiers, the true Indiana University things that everybody pulls for. Someone else that pulls for Indiana University, and he's our football expert on this podcast. He's making the plays. He knows the numbers. He has the first and last names of referees that ref NFL games. You know you want to talk to somebody that can drop those for you at a moment's notice, and that's our guy, Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? I went to 1-2 against the spread. That ends a horrific year against the spread this season. Hit on Tomlin as an underdog, but lost on probably the squarest pick I've had all year, taking the over of the Minnesota-Detroit game that was squashed by the midway through the first quarter. Outstanding defense by Detroit all of a sudden out of nowhere. And then was nowhere close on KC Denver. KC decided to not show up at all. And no excuses there.
Who could have predicted that a team quarterbacked by Carson Wentz would fall flat on its face, Chris? Honestly, I mean, who would have thought that guy taking snaps from center would not be what your football team wants?
I mean, the fact that the NFL is not taking a stand against this blatant attempt at manipulating the playoff seeding and the playoff teams that are going to show up, it's obvious that Kansas City is scared of a certain team coming into Kansas City and dominating in Burrowhead. So, it's amazing that the NFL hasn't launched an investigation, find Andy Reid and the whole Chiefs. It's just a blatant disregard to the spirit of the game, Rod.
All right, Chris, listen, I think maybe you're going a bit far there, but I appreciate that. In podcast form, that's definitely what we do here. That's the art. You were coming around. I love that. Those podcast classes are paying off. Jimmy Jam, I'm going to go to you on this, though. Do we maybe need to think about the end of the year? Is it maybe not the best thing in the world to have division games the final week because of what I think Chris is speaking to there? We just had a whole lot of teams that didn't really have as much incentive because I think we maybe were hoping for in the last week.
Well, I think other years it's going to be every game matters more. So it just kind of depends. This is one of those fluke things that only really one game. And honestly, it was a huge game that mattered from a 1 seed in the bye to a 4 seed. That's huge, or a 5 seed, whatever it was. And it just happened to not be a good game.
Williams, I'll ask you. Do you think maybe there's something we could do differently at the end of the year, or do you think Jimmy's right that it was just kind of dumb luck that it worked out this year, that there were so many games that seemed to not matter?
No, I've said this for years. The NFL has gotten it wrong on division games in Week 18. There should be, if you want to go all division games Week 17, and then Week 18 have like a few, have like between, 4 and 10, because those division games end up not mattering to half the teams. And those fans love those division games. So I don't know, man. I just feel like you can get a lot better plays the last week of the season with tiebreakers, cross divisions. Make them all conference games, but you don't have to make them all division games. I mean, they messed up on that years ago because really the Detroit San Francisco game, Monday night, week 17, really didn't mean anything. I mean, Campbell wanted to win that game, obviously, but if you would have had a different coach there, that game would have meant nothing. So yeah, I've said that for years, that all the division games need to be week 17.
Listen, folks, all right? If you're just tuning in for the first time, I told you that Josh Williams knows what he's talking about. And already I go to him on the schedule. He had no idea I was going to ask him something about the schedule, and that's the answer they can give me, all right? This is what I'm talking about, okay? But the reason we are coming at you early is not the NFL game. It is because of the college game. The college football playoff is getting closer to winding up. We have more games this year for the first time ever. People were worried about it. So far, so good. Are Notre Dame fighting Irish? And I'll say are because I'm broadcasting here from the Notre Dame area. The Mrs. Morgan, receives a paycheck from Notre Dame University. I now receive a paycheck from the Notre Dame University at times during the summer, thanks to the Warren Golf Course at Notre Dame. So we are biased for the Irish here on this podcast. Mr. Williams is wearing an Irish stocking cap now as we speak, if you are not watching us. So we will touch on this game because, quite frankly, for me at this point, it's luck. We have talked about the Irish leading into every one of their games, and they have pulled off the victory. So darn it, we're going to do it one more time and hope that the Irish can get over the Nittany Lions and into the championship game. Chris, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to come to you first on this. Are you pulling for Notre Dame, or is there still a little bit of sour in your taste because they beat your Hoosiers?
No, I'm still rooting for Notre Dame. Of course I am. I mean, I've been a Notre Dame football fan for about as long as I can remember. The first college game I went to was at Notre Dame Stadium. Of course, they have a special place in my heart. They're an Indiana school, Rod. Why would I not root for them? I know Penn State's in the Big Ten. I'm a Big Ten guy, but Notre Dame, I'm still rooting for you.
Well, I mean, I know that time in 72 when you were on the grounds and maintenance crew at Penn State just meant an awful lot to you. So I wasn't for sure how much Penn State still had a place in your heart.
And it does. It's no different than the time I spent at the University of Pittsburgh on the facilities team, right? Yes, they have a special place, but it's not like the connection I have with Indiana athletics, especially Notre Dame and IU.
All right. Jimmy Jam, Irish. You've seen them in many big games. I've seen them in many big games. We have talked about in the past that they tend to not win big games. They've already essentially won 2 big games now. If you want to think about it this way, in this college football championship, do you think that makes them more or less likely to win this game? You're a vibes guy like me, so I'm coming to you with a vibes question.
Sometimes I like to do what Rod does and just mute myself. That's fine. I think it's more likely to win this. This is weird. This is a weird season. They have won 2 games that they typically would not win. I mean, that Indiana game was a complete Notre Dame loss, 9 times out of 10. And then last week, the shellacking never happened. So I'm expecting them to win and win pretty big.
Williams, I'm going to come to you with the contrarian take that I heard from somebody the other day, and I was kind of like, I hadn't really thought about that, but you have Georgia essentially trying to bring along a young quarterback, right? They're trying to show confidence in him in the first half, right? They make that play down at the goal line to essentially let him throw when they probably shouldn't, right? We get the pick 6. Notre Dame had scored a field goal prior to that. They scored 10 points in a matter of under a minute right before halftime. And then we get the kickoff return, right? That game essentially turns on those 3 plays right there. That has very little to do with Notre Dame's defense, which is banged up, and very little to do with Notre Dame's offense, meaning their receivers and their running backs didn't even have a great total in that game. Do you think that means anything for Irish fans to be worried about?
Yeah, it could. I mean, I think this is going to be a phone booth game, though, to begin with. I mean, kind of like a throwback 80s type of 90s, early 90s type of game. Completely different from what you're going to see the next night. But just to break this down, like James, not so big game Franklin, there's a reason his detractors have given him that nickname. Penn State, check this out. The last 17 times they've been underdogs of any sort, and they are just a 1-point underdog in this game. He's 1-16 straight up. That is terrible. On the other side, the Irish are 10-2 against the spread this year, tied for the second best mark in the nation. And this may be surprising to some. ND has won 8 straight games over AP top 25 opponents. So the days of saying that Notre Dame can't get up for a big game are have gone by the wayside just for at least these last couple times here. You can see some more heavy formations from Penn State here, running out of the 12 formation over the last 5 weeks. They've had 26 explosive runs and 14 touchdowns. That's both the best in the country over that time frame. And ND has seen the heavy formation, the 12 formation, at a bottom 5 rate this season. So I feel like Penn State coaching staff could lean on that. But let's face it, the best D the Nittany Lions have faced this year, their offense mustered up a whopping 6 points at home versus Ohio State. Because remember, their D had a pick 6 early in that game that got them 13. And Penn State's O-line has given up 7 sacks over the last 2 games to SMU and Boise State. They're 96 in the country in pass block win rate. That could be a problem because DC, Al Golden from Notre Dame, is known for his exotic stunts and schemes. And ND in the playoffs has given up 2.2 yards per carry. For the season, the Irish passed the number 1 in EPA per dropback, number 1 in dropback success rate, and number 1 in turnovers forced. So the big question for the Notre Dame defense, how do you slow down the best tight end in the country in Tyler Warren? I think the answer is safety Adam Schuler. When he's been matched up on tight ends this year, his coverage rate is second best in the country. And if that doesn't work, you've got the 2-time All-American safety Xavier Watts. So I feel like Notre Dame can match up pretty well with Penn State here. And ND is going to play a ton of cover 1. I can almost guarantee that because they aren't afraid of any of these Penn State wide receivers. And ND's offense has not been as prolific in the playoffs, relying on their D and special teams to get them through. ND outside the red zone is 125th in the country in the rate of 15-yard throws attempted. And on those throws, Riley Leonard is 90th in target rate. So, like I said, I think this is going to be a phone booth type of game, low scoring. The quarterbacks can't make any mistakes here. And we'll see what happens on Thursday at the Orange Bowl.
That is a bunch of good stats in there, Mr. Williams. You are, again, showing the people your strength there. Chris, I'm going to come to you on this, all right? Something that Williams talks about an awful lot when we're picking football games, right? As he talks about this. I just muted myself for no reason there. What in the world am I doing? All right. He makes mention of the luck expectancy number quite often, and you poo-poo it, all right? When he was giving his great analysis of this game, he mentioned that Notre Dame led the country in turnovers, okay? Do you think that that's repeatable for Notre Dame, or do you think their luck might be on its way of running out? Because I think Williams is right here. It's going to come down to the secondary because Notre Dame's not going to be able to stop the run if Penn State wants to run the game. They're going to have to get sacks, and they're going to have to get turnovers.
So I've told you guys before, I'll say it again, I don't believe in luck. Luck is nothing but preparation meeting opportunity, right? And one thing I learned during that Notre Dame IU game is that Notre Dame coaches are prepared and ready to go, and probably some of the most prepared coaches in the country because Cignetti's no slouch. He's proved that, and he was out-coached in that Notre Dame game. So I think Notre Dame's going to be prepared. So I don't think luck has anything to do with it. They're prepared, and they have an opportunity.
Nice. That was like Assistant Coach King there in the locker room. That was good stuff. Jimmy Jam. All right, I'm going to you for the pick right here. Who do you got? Notre Dame versus Penn State.
What's the line on it again?
I think it's Penn State -1, and that Williams said?
Notre Dame -1.
Notre Dame -1. Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
I'm going to take Notre Dame -1. I think they're going to win.
I've got Notre Dame as well. I like them in this game. I don't see Penn State, right? Again, I'm just going on vibes here. I just don't see a team like Penn State being the team that beats Notre Dame, right? I thought Notre Dame was going to lose in this college football playoff if it was going to be to a blue blood type like Georgia, or it was going to be in the game to Indiana, like Jimmy was saying that they absolutely were supposed to win. So they got by those two. I don't see Penn State as being the problem. What I see as being the problem is hopefully the national championship game. And if we have a chance to talk about that, I'll talk about there. But I'm not going to rate on Notre Dame's parade here. I think Notre Dame beats Penn State. Chris, what do you got?
I have Notre Dame. I'm not looking past Penn State quite as much as you are, I think, Rod. I think if this game was in Happy Valley, it'd be a completely different conversation maybe, but I still have Notre Dame winning this.
Oh, let me be clear. I know zero about Penn State. I didn't watch any of their games this year. I find them completely boring based on every score that I saw they were involved with. So I wasn't like, let me run out and catch some Nittany Lion football. All right. But I just am talking that like Penn State is not really like, I'm sorry, they're not Alabama. They're not Georgia. They're not USC. They're not Ohio State. They're not Michigan. Like, I'm sorry, Penn State. If there's any Nittany Lions fans, God bless you for finding a podcast emanating out of Northern Indiana and listening. We appreciate you. But I don't think you got a chance of beating Notre Dame. Williams, do you have anything to say about the other matchup, Ohio State versus Texas, quickly, or do you just want to move on to the NFL?
Yeah, I got something real quick. Ohio State's favored by 5.5 or 6, depending on the book. And Chip Kelly has totally transformed this offense since the Michigan loss. Went from a zone-heavy run team to a counter-running team after losing 2 offensive linemen recently. 49% counter runs. That would be number 1 highest rate in the nation if you extrapolated that over a full year. He's also motioning Jeremiah Smith, who's probably the best wide receiver in the country, into the slot, using more play action with Will Howard. They're hitting their ceiling now offensively. And I think it was all ego-driven versus Michigan. Ryan Day heard the noise over the last 3 years that Michigan is the more physical team. You can't out-muscle Michigan. You can't push them around. He was like, oh, yeah, watch this. And then he proceeded to fail miserably because guess what? That's not how Ohio State wins. They win by spreading you out and airing it out, a la the Rose Bowl versus Oregon. That game was 34-0 before you could blink versus the only undefeated team in the country. Big gains from that wide receiver core. And guess what? On passes thrown over 20 yards, Texas D ranks 5th in the nation. I like Ohio State to roll here against Texas on Friday night in the Cotton Bowl, even though it is in Texas.
All I have to say about Texas is that was targeting. And if they called targeting like they're supposed to call targeting, I'm not entirely sure how that game wraps up for Texas. So congratulations on being here. And I'm going to ask all 3 of you gentlemen one question about Ohio State vis-a-vis Ohio State's head coach, Ryan Day. That's hair dye, right? I mean, like, Ryan Day's hair is not that black and his beard is not that black, right? Like, that's total, like, that's just for men. That's like, we're coloring that thing in, right?
He makes enough money to do it. Yeah, he's okay.
He's getting it professionally done.
Professionally done. Okay, Chris, so you're saying he's going down to like a salon or something and getting that
Yeah,
thing
that's not
colored in?
an
Yeah.
at-home thing.
Yeah, he's not doing it at home. No.
All right, Williams, what do you got? Come on, tell me you've got a breakdown on this. Anybody that's just tuning in for the first time, if you can break down Ryan Day's hair coloring, this will be fabulous.
It's 1,000% dye. 1,000%. It's like 2 shades too dark. Like,
oh, it's terrible. It's so terrible. Yeah, like, does he honestly think that like Ohio State fans would turn on him more if he had gray hair? I mean, I don't understand what we're doing here.
I don't get it. I don't know.
I got some gray coming in the beard right here. I mean, I'm not just going to start filling that in. You know what I mean? Chris has been gray 4 different times in his life. And like, he just keeps running through a new cycle with his hair. It's amazing. Science should really look into it. We're going to leave that for another podcast. Yeah, they do. They do. Lots of different women like that. Lots of women like that. You know what else women like, Williams? They like the way you break down NFL playoff games. And that's what we're going to do for them right now. Here's what we're going to do. All right. We're going to go in chronological order. All right. I'm going to keep my eye on the running clock up here. And we're going to try to just spend a couple minutes, 90 seconds to 2 minutes on each game, just moving along. And then we'll make a pick. All right. Williams, did you hear me? Okay. You gave us great stuff on the Notre Dame Penn State game, but I don't think we need to book that long for any of the NFL playoff games. All right,
man. All right. When's the clock run?
I'll just Williams.
All right.
Here we
go.
At
Houston.
That's what. We'll start here. We'll start here. Yeah, it's the game that doesn't mean anything, and that's why the Houston Texans continue to be thrown into the first playoff game that gets played Saturday afternoon. If Houston makes the playoffs, they are in the first early afternoon Saturday game. Get him out of the way. Williams, let's get him out of the way now.
I think they're 9 for 9 starting in this game. This is the Saturday 4:30 Shakey's Bowl.
Shaky. Shout out Bill Simmons.
Justin Herbert, top 5 quarterback in the league when using play action, but this Texans defense was number 1 in the league this season defending passes with play action. That's kind of surprising. Herbert is elite when blitzed. Like, his numbers triple when blitzed compared to when teams don't bring extra pressure. Houston, though, does not blitz very often. They get pressure at a top 7 rate when not blitzing. Also, Houston top 3 in adjusted line yards allowed rushing. So this could be a lower scoring game than some think. And Houston could actually stick around. Remember, everyone counted out Houston last year against Cleveland. And look what happened. Houston absolutely trounced them. And on the other side, though, we gave Bobby Slowick some love last year, although I kind of think that was more Stroud playing fantastic right off the bat in his rookie season, kind of a la Robert Griffin III. But Bobby Slowick this year.
Just you. I didn't know who Bobby Slowick was until like week 6 when you started talking about him all the time.
Okay. Bobby Slowick this year has regressed, though. The Texans are first in early down success rate. That puts a ton of pressure on your young QB. But I got one more thing for Houston. Home dogs over the last 10 years in the playoffs, like Houston is. Houston's getting 3 here. 10-3-2 against the spread. And the Chargers have the lowest strength of victory than any other playoff team this season. The Chargers have beat on the road this year the Raiders, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Browns, the Falcons, and the Broncos. So this is a step up, actually, for the Chargers against Houston on Saturday.
All right, how about that? Williams didn't make a pick. Jimmy, I'm going to ask you to make a pick. Who you got?
I'm picking Corey Nance as number 1 fan. Shout out to Corey. He's in here right now. I'm also picking the Chargers. Sorry, Chargers fans.
Jimmy loves him some San Diego. He loves him some
I
San
do.
Diego. He
Even
thought,
LA too.
yep, either one. That's true. Man, I keep doing. They should just be San Diego. All right, they just should be. Listen, let's get a petition
Agreed.
signed, and let's get a petition signed that you can be in LA, but all of us get to call you San Diego. You're San Diego in spirit. Chris, who do you got?
I just know us NFL fans are the losers in this matchup, Rod. All right, because one of these teams is going to get into a big lead in the first half and we think it's over, and then they're going to fall apart in the second and lose somehow. So right. And it's going to be horrible for everybody. Whichever team moves on is just a sad state of affairs.
Now Chris is
Bengals should be in this one of these spots, but give me the Texans because I still believe the Chargers are going to charger.
Oh, see, you stole my thunder there, you dog. I was going to say that as much as I hate the Texans and trash them leading into this, I think we're going to see Jim Harbaugh doing Jim Harbaugh face over on the sidelines at one point in the fourth quarter with his hands down on his knees on his khakis, and he's going to have that slack-jawed look like, what in the hell happened? And the Texans are going to somehow win this game. After nobody paying a thought to the Texans for 8 weeks of the end of the year, right? Everybody just knew, oh, the Colts stink. The Jaguars stink. Look at the Titans. They stink. Everybody just was able to write the Texans off. Williams said it himself. Bobby Slowick walked himself right out of a head coaching job and is now not even being considered for all these positions that are open. But somehow DeMeco Ryans is going to win an NFL playoff game for the Texans, and Jim Harbaugh is going to be left saying, well, who's got it better than us? We're just going to have to come back next year and even better because he's an absolute psycho, and I love you, Jim Harbaugh. I'm sorry I picked against you, but I did.
Man, I thought all three of you guys were going to go Chargers here, and I thought I was going to be contrarian going with Houston +3. But
look at you,
yeah,
look at you.
Wow.
All right, let's move on. This game is maybe the game of the weekend. Maybe there's a lot of possible contenders, but this one's right there. Saturday night, Amazon's first ever playoff broadcast. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, third time this year. Williams, what do you got for us?
Now, didn't Amazon have the Mahomes versus Miami game last year? The one that was like freezing cold?
I think that's their first playoff game.
Okay.
I have no idea. It sounded good when I said it, though, didn't it? You could have just let that go. We got like
Ravens
7 people watching. You could have just let that go. I wasn't going to be fact-checked on that.
I feel like everybody was up in arms last year about Mahomes being on Amazon Prime. That's why I remember that. I don't know.
You might be. Listen, you're the handicapper. What do I know? I'm just cracking jokes and bringing up things from the 90s.
The Ravens favored by 9 or 10 points here, depending on where you shop at. The Ravens had the 4th best offense in DVOA history this year, guys. I don't know if you knew that. Steelers play man at a top 3 rate. Thus, Zay Flowers torched them the last time they played. If he's out, who does Lamar go to? Mark Andrews has scored a touchdown in 6 straight games, so one would think he could possibly be Lamar's go-to guy versus Pittsburgh. I don't know. This offense from Pittsburgh, I feel like I was probably a little fortunate to cover last week with the backdoor cover with Tomlin. George Pickens decided to not show up at all, drop about 5-6 balls. Who knows if he's showing up here? I think the Ravens have too much for the Steelers here.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Tomlin feels alive unless the entire city of Pittsburgh is pissed off at him after losing a playoff game and actually kind of wants him to be fired going into the next year. And nobody's really that fired up about the season. And everybody's kind of like, who's going to be our quarterback? Like, I just feel like that's where Mike Tomlin has to live. So, yeah, give me Baltimore absolutely routing Pittsburgh in this game and us all left. Is it Justin Fields? Is it Russell Wilson? Should they get someone else? Chris, who do you got?
I mean, I have Baltimore winning this. I don't know if I would give 9.5 points. That's a lot of points to a division rival like Pittsburgh, all right? We have seen Baltimore play down to their competition a few times this year. That always concerns me. I still think Baltimore wins the game.
Playoff Lamar, right? People talk about that. Jimmy, what do you think about this game?
And I'm going to talk about it. It's playoff Lamar. I think it happens again. I think the Steelers win. I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know why. But I think the Steelers are going to win.
Jimmy wants Justin Fields to get back in the game. He thinks he's going to bring a comeback.
Let's go. Listen, Jimmy, I love that you picked Pittsburgh there because I need to take a quick time to say the city of Pittsburgh, I apologize. I was really trying to lead a charge for you guys. I was really calling up past Pittsburgh luminaries, and we were all getting on board, and we were having a barbecue, and we were putting Yinling beer in the river. It was a whole thing, and then you guys just lost every time that I tried to fire that up for you. So I completely apologize to the city of Pittsburgh, and if you never allow me in to have a sandwich with French fries on top of it ever again, I will completely understand. All right. Williams, what do you got for us in Buffalo versus Denver? I don't want to hear much about this game because I'm so mad that the Broncos are in, just like Chris is mad when he mentioned the Bengals earlier.
I figured. So I'm going to keep this one short. I'm actually going to give you a couple stats that you may not know about both teams. Bills. Everyone knows about Bills offense. How about the havoc rate is the least amount in the NFL on defense since week 9, and they have
havoc
a below
rate? That's
average
incredible.
pressure
That sounds
rate.
like an action movie starring Chuck Norris. Why is this the first time you're bringing up havoc rate?
I've brought up havoc rate before, but the main gist of it is that the Bills might not be as good at it as what you thought. This may not come back to bite them in the wild card round versus Denver, but it could come back in round 2 versus potentially Lamar and the Ravens. Not if Jimmy has anything to say about it. I can't believe Jimmy is picking Pittsburgh over the Ravens. That's ridiculous.
You really can't believe that? You really can't believe that.
As for the vet. Denver, second highest pressure rate, 5th highest blitz rate for the Broncos D since week 9. So if Denver's going to stay in this game, they're going to have to get some pressure on Josh Allen, maybe cause a few turnovers, cause a few sacks. I don't know. I don't see it, guys. The line here is about 8.5, 9. So I think Buffalo eventually rolls the rookie QB Bo Nix in his first road playoff start.
Give me Buffalo. Jimmy says Buffalo. Chris says Buffalo. Chris, the question I have for you is, what is havoc rate? Is havoc rate where a guy wants to come in and clean up a town? Is havoc rate a movie where a guy's family gets killed and he's got to go into the seedy underworld to find them? Like, what's the plot of havoc rate?
Well, I see it as there is an overlord of a town, whether he is running the local casino or the local mine, and there has been an injustice perpetrated against a family that's local and can't defend for themselves, so you have to come in and wreak havoc on the powers that be.
So, Jimmy, it sounds like Chris is laying out a dusty loner rolls into a Pennsylvania mining town run by an unscrupulous landowner, and he havoc rates and wins. I don't know. Did we get there, Jimmy? You look disgusted.
I think Chris knew a little bit too much about havoc rates. I'm a little worried about that. So yeah, I agree with Chris.
We don't talk about my time in Pennsylvania.
That's right. Jimmy's just mad that we took even longer to get through the football because I had to go off on my havoc rate thing. But people wouldn't be tuning into this podcast if I didn't do that. Here we go. Another contender for game of the weekend. Packers v. Eagles. I imagine both teams were like, really? This is who we've got to play in the first round of the playoffs? Williams, what do you got?
I definitely think Steven Seagal is in havoc rate, right? It's got to be.
Nice. Does he have the ponytail or is he like trying to like go with a different hairstyle?
It's definitely ponytail. And if he's not in havoc rate, he's definitely in havoc rate 3, right?
Nice.
We're getting off target here, but the Seagal movies have a typical theme. Like Steven Seagal is hard to kill. Steven Seagal is a hard target. It's hard. I think havoc rate is more a Van Damme style title. So I think it's more Van Damme than Seagal.
He's still acting?
Not sure. I think he is. See, but I was caught up on rate, right? Like all I had in my head was like bank rate, like interest rate, right? So like all I was running through was like some sort of like greedy bank owner, and I couldn't really get there. Havoc rate. It doesn't work. We got to move on. It sounds good. It sounds good.
Green Bay versus Philly. I'm not sure if you guys were aware, but the Bears beat Green Bay last week. All right. Green Bay throws short a lot. This could be a problem because they lost their deep threat, Christian Watson, to a torn ACL last week. So going up against a Vic Fangio D, I think he is going to sit those very young aggressive corners in DeJean and Mitchell out there, and they're going to be extremely physical at the line of scrimmage versus these Packers undersized wideouts, Dobbs, Reed, Wicks, and Melton. Make them beat them down the field. This is interesting here. The Packers on D have massive splits depending on how many wide receivers the opposition has on the field. Green Bay is number 2 defending runs versus heavy formations like 12 and 13 personnel with 2 and 3 tight ends. But they fall all the way to number 32 defending the run when the opposition is in 11 personnel. So spread this D out by putting 3 wide receivers out there, and the run D really turns to mush. You got to believe OC Kellen Moore will do this and do this often. Last interesting point here, the first 2 drives of the game for Philly, bottom 3 in EPA on offense. We've seen Philly get out to tremendously slow starts this year. The rest of the game, though, after those first 2 drives, top 3 in EPA per drive. So, and the Packers have been top 5 in points scored in the first quarter. So don't be surprised if the Packers get out to an early lead in the first quarter, and then Philly comes playing front runners in the second half and takes over the game in the second half.
Well, that's absolutely. Listen, this game will come down to the fourth quarter, right? Philly is involved in those kind of games all the time, right? Philly is kind of like the Seattle Seahawks were a few years ago. Williams, you'd come on this podcast and you would joke about how the Seahawks are never involved in a normal game. It just kind of seems like that's the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They trounce somebody and it's a laugher, or it's a laugher in a different way. And Nick Sirianni's yelling at his assistant coach. He's yelling at the security guy. He's yelling at fans. You never know how it's going to end up for sometimes in those Philadelphia games. So I will take the Packers here. I just sneaky think Matt LaFleur is a way better coach than anybody ever talks about. Williams, I know you give him plenty of shine here, but in more of the national media, you just don't hear LaFleur as often as you probably should. I think Green Bay's actually going to win this game. And then angry Philly fans are going to have their favorite thing to do, chop up talking down everybody on the Philadelphia Eagles all offseason. So give me Green Bay. Jimmy Jam. Look at that. You can tell the producers ready for us to move on. Chris, who do you got?
I have no faith in Philadelphia if they have to score a late touchdown to win this game. I do have faith in Jordan Love and Green Bay being able to score a touchdown late in the game. So Green Bay.
Let's go. Chris and I think, have picked the same in every game. I'm not sure exactly what is going on here. I don't know if like Jupiter is aligned with Mars or Venus is in retrograde or Mercury. I'm not sure. Somebody should check that. Let's move on to the next game involving a rookie phenom and my guy, mine, everybody's favorite, Baker Mayfield. And I just want to say something to Progressive. Where are you at, guys? I mean, let's bring back my guy Baker. They were wonderful ads once upon a time. He's back on top of the world again. Let's go. Now is the time in the playoffs. Strike while the iron is hot. Let's see more Baker Progressive ads. Williams, do you have any football analysis for us that is better than my demanding Baker Mayfield Progressive commercials?
Yeah, Tampa Bay versus Washington. First, before that, I was all over Green Bay last year, +7 in the first round against the Cowboys. Thought they could win. They not only did win, they demolished those Cowboys. This year, I have no faith in Green Bay. I'm with Jimmy. They're coming in way too hurt. Philly is going to pound them eventually in the second half. But Tampa Bay versus Washington here. Both teams blitz at a top 7 rate. Baker's numbers dip versus the blitz this year, and Washington also plays a ton of cover 3. Baker has struggled versus cover 3 this season, so this is kind of a scary game for Tampa here. And Baker's played a ton of cover 3 this year. Carolina, Atlanta, and San Fran. He went 0-3 versus Atlanta and San Fran. We thought we would get Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore since we didn't get it last week because Lattimore doesn't play for the Saints anymore. But it looks like he's still going to be injured for this game versus Washington. So if you're a Baker fan, like I know you are, Rod, and Mike Evans fan, you saw the crowd or you saw the sideline all go nuts for him after he got his incentives. I'm hoping that he can find Mike Evans a few times in this game, maybe for a touchdown, maybe for 100 yards, and I'm rooting for Tampa here. I've been dead wrong on Washington all year. I just don't want them to get any farther. I cannot read them at all. But I'm hoping Tampa Bay wins this game.
Mr. Williams and I have been in a constant communication about fantasy football this year. The beginning of the year, I was like, Williams, what do you think about Jaden Daniels? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, nah, man, I think I'm all in, right? He's going to run a little bit. I think, he's played a bunch of games in college. Like, give me the guy. And so he worked out for me. So I'm conflicted here, Jimmy Jam. You know that fantasy football means a lot to me, even though my team was terrible this year and I lost in the playoffs. But Jaden Daniels is my fantasy football future. But Baker's my guy. I mean, you more than anybody else know, 4 or 5 years ago, I said, Colts, let's go. Let's save this guy from the abyss that they're putting him through in Cleveland and bring him to Indianapolis. And looking at what the Colts have right now, as much as I'm still an AR5 believer, I'd take a little bit of Baker Mayfield for the last 4 years in Indianapolis. I don't know about you, Jim. Yeah. A little less. Absolutely. Are we going to see a 30 for 30 later in somebody's career there, Jim, where there's going to be a confrontation at a sports card show about that? Like, I can't believe that you let Mike Evans get that record. That'd be nice. Chris, what do you think about this one?
I cannot believe that the NFL and all their wonderful wisdom decided to name a guy who threw for 1,000 less yards and 16 less touchdowns to the Pro Bowl instead of Baker Mayfield. Why in the world is Daniels in the Pro Bowl instead of Baker? Baker outplayed him the entire year, and Baker's going to outplay him this weekend to prove that he should have been in the Pro Bowl instead of Jaden Daniels.
I love that for my guy Baker. Keep giving Baker no respect. It's worked out really, really well for him the last 2 years in Tampa Bay. Keep giving my guy Baker Zero respect. Let's go, Baker. All right, moving on to the last game of the weekend. Gives us another chance to talk about something here. We had a monumental game in the NFL last week. Detroit, Minnesota. Never before would we see a team like where Minnesota's at that won as many games as they did, and they are the 5 seed. They have to go on the road to play a playoff game versus the LA Rams, who Williams walked into this game. The Rams flat out decided we will play either Detroit or Minnesota. What in the world? You'd say Sean McVay's a good coach. I don't know about that one.
No, and if you follow McVay in the preseason, you would have known this that he was going to do this from the start because he doesn't play anybody in the preseason, and this was basically a preseason game. Look, he has confidence in his guys if they're healthy. And remember what happened earlier this year when Minnesota went to LA. The Rams beat them by double digits. And I think he is not scared of playing this Minnesota team. Minnesota -1 versus the Rams on Monday Night Football. Hopefully this game is in LA. We've had some major fires out there. This game could get moved to Glendale. And so, yeah, how will the Vikings bounce back here? And did Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, give LA the blueprint to disrupt Darnold and KOC? The Lions blitzed a ton, and the Rams don't really do that. The Rams' pressure rate has been pretty solid all year, but they don't really blitz as much as Detroit does. And the reason Minnesota struggled on Sunday Night Football versus Detroit, they weren't able to run as much play action as they normally do because the Lions were getting so much pressure from up the middle. Vikings' EPA per play with play action versus without play action is drastic. And like I said, remember these two teams played earlier, and the similar was Minnesota lost to Detroit earlier that year. Then they went out to the Rams at LA, lost to the Rams. Same exact thing this week. The Vikings lost to Detroit 1 week, and now they have to go out and play against the Rams. This line opened Minnesota -3 and went down to 2.5. It came all the way down to 1. So it's come down to pick 'em in some spots. This is my upset pick of the playoffs. You always see one upset pick. I'm taking the Rams to take down the Minnesota Vikings in the first round of the playoffs.
Look at that. Williams has always been a McVay supporter. He is showing his true mettle here and now. McVay, once upon a time, worked with Kyle Shanahan. I'm not sure if that maybe has anything to do with this here, but so did KOC. So, you know what I mean? Williams is a little bit conflicted there. The Shanahan tree giveth to both sides of that matchup. You know what? Why not? I'm with Williams. I don't know. This Vikings team has never really impressed me that much. It's just something about it. I don't know if it's that I'm just, against Sam Darnold's resume, which maybe isn't entirely fair to him. But, yeah, give me the Rams. I'll take Matt Stafford. Guys won a Super Bowl. Jimmy Jam, what do you got? Sammy Darnold. Chris?
That's right, Jimmy. Williams? No, because you, just like you said with Baker, keep putting that chip on Sam Darnold's shoulder and telling him you don't believe in him, and he'll continue to prove you wrong. Give me the...
All right, there we have it. Those are the NFL playoff games. Mr. Williams will be back with us next week to talk about all of these. What do you got for us on the way out, Josh?
I got the final results of the Wins League.
Oh, yes, that's right. We got to crown somebody here on the way out. That's a good call.
So I only had 3 wins last week, so I ended up with 88. Chris could only get 3 wins last week. He ends up with 55. Rod gets 5 wins last week. You ended up with 69. Rod, I predicted you for 68 wins. I was 1 win off of you. You overexceeded by 1 win. And then Jimmy got another 5 wins. He ended up with 60. How about that?
Let's go, 69. What a number out of your boy, and second place. I mean, honestly, if you told me I wasn't going to win, I think I would want to get 69 and be in second place. So I will take it. Chris, you lost. Your thoughts?
Yeah, is that surprising? No.
All right, listen, Jim. It's not about how many playoff teams you had. It's about how many teams won during the regular season. And if the Atlanta Falcons wouldn't have went to a water park, perhaps my team would have been even better. Because I believed in their trip to a water park. We discussed that. You should have been with us all season, and you would have heard the water park thread that kept going throughout this podcast. Mr. Williams, your thoughts before we leave.
Yeah, so I told you I got Jaden Daniels completely wrong this year. I was completely wrong on the Jets also, but there was 5 teams that I picked exactly right for the Wins League, and they were in Chris's, or 4 of them were in Chris's divisions. I hit on Philly 14-3. I had Dallas 7-10. I had Indy, your Colts, at 8-9. I had Jacksonville at 4-13. That's probably my best call. Jacksonville's over-under win total was like 8.5. And then I had Zona at 8-9 also. So those are the 5 teams I hit exactly right. And I was completely way off on the Jets. So you guys can, that's what destroyed Chris's wins league, is that he stole the Jets from me. And
you convinced me before we even drafted. I was like, I'm sold. Williams talked up the Jets so much. I'm sold. Give it to me.
That's a blessing in disguise, man.
Have to wait quite a few months to redeem yourself in next year's wins draft. Williams will be back to talk the playoffs with us next week. Jimmy and Chris and I are going to talk a little bit of NBA before we talk wrestling on Netflix. Big doings in the WWE, but a little basketball fast break first.
How long do we think that he's going to keep that up? Like, I definitely want him back because he helps a team in the wins league that I have, the Pelicans. But I don't know. I mean, he missed 27 games in a row? I imagine he'll be back for 15 before he misses another chunk.
I have very strong feelings on Zion. My strong feelings on Zion are I'm not going to do this, all right? I refuse to be Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill and it falling back on me every time that I do it, right? I'm not going to get invested in, the Zion Williamson that we saw coming out of Duke. That was years ago, okay? That was a boatload of beignets ago. That was pre-Moira Mills, all right? Lots of things have gone on with Zion that I think means this man is not 100% dedicated to basketball. So, no, I refuse to get any kind of thoughts about Zion Williamson until I see him on the court for an extended period of time. Here's my other thought, though, Jim. Here's my other thought on the wins league, because that's how we got onto this, okay? We need to get a 4th member in this draft next year, because I'm already 21 wins behind you. This basically is over already. We need to get more spread out of the teams, right? We need to get a 4th member in here drafting to try to even out this wins league next year, because I'd love to keep this up for the year, but I mean, when and how am I making up 21? You just said it yourself. You're getting a bunch of wins every week along with Chris and I, so I'm not making up 21 anytime soon. This thing's already over. Wow. Listen, I guess I sort of underestimated Jimmy Butler's ability to tank a situation, right? I mean, that post-game press conference, that was the playbook, right? If you do not mind getting suspended and hated by your current team and possibly getting fined, then that's how you go about it, right? Jimmy Butler walked right into a press conference and was like, watch me show you how to get Pat Riley to back off of his word and trade me within a week and a half. Kudos to Jimmy Butler, I guess. I don't know why somebody'd want to bring him onto their squad. Not because of his personality, Jim, but just he doesn't play often enough, right? Like we just talked about it with Zion. I don't know why you'd want to bring that headache onto your squad for all it's going to cost to bring him in the new trade rules that we exist under.
No, your hands forced. You have to trade him. I think they even came out and said they would prefer an impact player over a long-term deal with Jimmy. So I think that's what they have to go look for. I don't think we'll see Jimmy in the Heat uniform again, right?
Hold on a second, Jimmy. Hold on a second there on Bradley Beal. But let me first ask you, what do you mean by uniform? Can Jimmy Butler be on the Heat sidelines, but in street clothes and not playing? Right? Can Jimmy Butler be listed on the Heat roster as an active member, but just away and at home on the team? How are we defining uniform? Because I think Chris might be onto something, that Butler won't see the court active minutes for the Heat dribbling a basketball and putting stats in a score sheet, but he may have to continue to be on their roster. And then Bradley Beal. Interesting you bring Bradley Beal up there, Jimmy. Why don't you go ahead and cue up a little bit of music for me here. Bradley Beal's going to get dialed up right here in this week's Rod Nation. Let's go. All right, so Bradley. Should I call you Bradley or should I call you Brad? You'll probably want me to call you Bradley after you hear me finish up this Rod Nation. So you come out this week and you think it'd be all cute to sit there and kind of smile at the camera and say to everybody, well, I hold all the cards, when somebody asks you about possibly being traded away from the Phoenix Suns. And while, yes, you probably do hold all the cards, I would say I don't necessarily know that that's the stance someone that's played basketball like you for the last year should be taking, okay? We're currently talking about you being benched, and that was one of the reasons you were being asked questions and were given this question about possibly being traded away from the Phoenix Suns. So I don't know that somebody that's being benched should floss and act as if I'm the one holding all the cards here. I am a powerful, important person in the league, and lots of people care about what I decide and what I want to do. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Beal. Those days have long since past, okay? You were on a team that doesn't want you to play for them, and there's not a whole lot of teams in the NBA that are reaching out to your team or your agent to even ask if you might want to come play for them. So, Brad, buddy, you can flex about your no trade clause all you want, but what it actually means, my friend, is that you will go down in NBA history as a footnote, as in the worst and last player to ever get a no trade clause because you brought down the practice with the debacle you caused for two different teams because you got one. So congratulations, Bradley Beal. You can control wherever you go, but you ain't playing basketball good. So I would suggest piping down.
I mean, sort of like, listen, it's hard for me to understand this new demand trade type thing that goes on in the NBA, and we've seen it by just about everybody now, right? So Bradley Beal's put in a situation where now he has a little bit of control over his own destiny, and you can't blame him for and maybe enjoying that for a little bit. I mean, it's rare. Most NBA players don't get to have any type of control over their destiny unless they're actually an unrestricted free agent that's wanted by multiple teams, or in this situation, they have a no trade clause and they can kind of dictate where they go. So, like, I kind of feel like he should take advantage of this. I mean, maybe it's not great for basketball, but I can't say it's bad for him.
I'm saying play. Right? Play. Chris, you're right that truly, by definition, the only way a player can get what they want is to be an unrestricted free agent. But let's be honest. Hasn't Kevin Durant always gotten everything that he wants? Hasn't LeBron James always got everything that he wants? Hasn't Kawhi Leonard, Paul George? I mean, the list goes on and on. Anthony Davis. Like, if you're good enough and you say, send me here, James Harden, you know what I mean? How Ben Simmons, right? I mean, if you say, send me there, and teams think you're good enough, you're going to get what you want anyway. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I mean, he's played as many games as Durant has this year. He's getting 33 minutes each game, so he's playing. He's shooting 39% from three, so he has value to an NBA team wherever he goes.
You know who disagrees with you? Other NBA teams.
Well, I mean, there's NBA teams that will sign people like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who can't play, but gets, I butchered that name. So like, there's a lot of things that happen on NBA rosters that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm not an NBA GM. But I think a 39% three-point shooter is valuable in the NBA.
Is Mark Bartelstein about ready to walk through the door of your studio down there in Bloomington, Bradley Beal's agent? Are you getting some sort of a percentage off of Beal's contract? Like, what in the world was that Bradley Beal defense you just gave right there?
He's on my fantasy team, Rod.
Congratulations to the Indiana Pacers.
Who are the nerds keeping track of those stats?
Dude, if you make the Celtics the Joker, I'm going to be so mad at you.
Okay, well, let's start at the king, right, who's sitting on the throne. I think it's pretty clear after tonight that it's Cleveland. They did, right? Best record in the NBA, just beat the team with the second best record in the NBA, who's also in the queen spot, is OKC, all right? Right now, they are playing better than everyone else. And as much as I don't want to, I am going to put Boston as the prince, just edging out Houston. And to be honest, I'd like to shout out the lower half of the Eastern Conference that is starting to pick up some wins. We have teams and are playing games in the East that actually have winning records or above 500. That's pretty good for the East, but I'll go ahead and give Boston the prince, even though they need to pick it up a little bit, Rod.
Congratulations. Listen, congratulations for seeing the forest for the trees, all right? Sure, Boston had a historic collapse in the second half in OKC, all right? But do you know what else they've done in their last 4 games? Beat the Timberwolves, the Rockets, and the Nuggets, okay? So 3 out of their last 4 wins have been versus those teams. And yes, they lost to OKC. But the team that played OKC in the first half, that's the team that everybody in the NBA is still scared of. So I appreciate you, Chris, for not pulling the alarm completely and sticking the Celtics all the way down into the Jesters.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jester, this will be the first official nomination. We're going to put the Wizards there. We're going to start building up this palace of ineptitude.
This team is bad.
And
like, seriously, this team is bad, man. Like, honestly, like, we talked a lot about the Pistons last year and their streak, and like, this team is bad. Like, this team doesn't even come close to winning.
Yeah, they need to essentially, I think, fire everybody from
From who?
Like,
Who's the head coach? Tell me right now. Who's the head coach of the Wizards? I don't even know. I shouldn't ask a question I don't know the answer to, but I couldn't tell you who the Wizards head coach is right now.
I don't think I could either. That's what I'm saying. Like, whatever type of front office they have there has not been.
Would you be surprised that it was just an AI that was running the Wizards front office right now? Like Telios just had an AI that he's like, I'm telling you, this AI program, I've been told this is the best.
I would be less surprised if it's some 17-year-old kid using NBA 2K21 rankings to dictate who they sign.
Nice, there you go.
So,
Shout out.
it is a literal palace of ineptitude going on in Washington, and we are going to build that palace for them.
Well, it's not a literal palace of ineptitude, right? Like, you understand what the definition of the word literal is, right? Like, it would actually have to be a palace for it to be a literal palace.
I mean, if you look in the dictionary now, Rod, literal also means figurative.
It's been a while since I've looked in the dictionary. I apologize there. All right, well, then that's cool. But here's the thing with the Wizards, though. I think maybe, Chris, we're going to have to point out teams that are just doing bad, like, weekly and just avoid the Wizards, because it's just going to be like, it's too easy to point them out.
And I've been doing that for the beginning of this season, but in order for them to earn this title, we have to recognize their ineptitude every once in a while at least.
So this is their coronation, and maybe we'll move on from them from here.
Yeah, unless they do something even more egregious than they've done already, which is very possible.
If they somehow lose by 80 one night or something like that.
All right,
Jimmy Jam. I think that's it for basketball, right?
Do me a quick favor, Chris. Go over your King, Queen, Prince, and Jester.
It is the Cavaliers. It is it is the Thunder. It is the Celtics. And now it is the Wizards as the Jester.
The Wizards have only been the Jester twice, so I think that's okay, Rod, like Chris said. But you know what's not okay? Not okay is not talking about the Netflix era coming up on the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Know podcasting network.
Goodbye, Internet.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Know podcasting network. You're learning with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod. We are in the Netflix era, and boy, did a lot of things happen on Raw is Netflix, Rod.
Yeah, I would say a lot of things happened for a little while. I was worried that Netflix was unaware there was a backstage area that is associated with these wrestling programs. It was a while before we went to Kathy Kelly looking resplendent on Monday Night Raw on Netflix there, but it was a while before we went backstage to do any of that. So that was one thing I was a little bit worried about. Cameras looked a little slicker, right? You could tell that we were certainly trying to get different angles. We were certainly trying to get a little closer to the action at time, and it looked a little more cinematic. So that was cool. But other than that, I just felt like it seemed like a wrestling show where they just concentrated on making sure they had great matches. And I wonder if it will still feel the same moving forward when we have Chad Gable taking on, my guy Andrade. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you have a premium live event show as your first show, it's nowhere to go but down. I thought the goosebumps on Rock were amazing looking. Like, he says that all the time. My wife, he was like, holy cow, he's got goosebumps. I'm like, yeah, he's going to say that here in a second. I thought the opening video package that we all saw on Twitter earlier was amazing. I thought that was
we got to go to the vignette. We got to go to the vignette expert on this podcast for thoughts on that, don't we, Jim? I mean, Chris, it's his brand.
It was on social media, right? So I didn't see it.
What are you talking about? I sent it to you.
Well, that wouldn't load on my phone.
Oh my God.
Come on, Sprint PCS.
I set him up to have the gimmick.
So a lot of people were confused that Triple H used face and heel in that, which I thought was interesting. He did say that, listen, we are what we are. Thank you. Yes, everyone kind of knows. Yeah, we know what's going on with that. I thought his opening promo was fine. It was a little shaky here and there. I think he was a little nervous, but the amount of people in the audience that showed up and then left right away was fun. Our boy Bill Simmons, right behind Pat McAfee the whole time. He was on air a lot. Bill's pops of the night, though, in the crowd. Topanga, fan favorite for everybody. And Macaulay Culkin, what a great gimmick. Hat down, hat up, people went nuts. I love that. I'm not going to lie.
Well, Macaulay, right? Like, what I think the benefit there is, like, he's not just a dude that you can catch out and everywhere, right? Like, Topanga is on your social media feeds. Listen to my podcast where I talk about Boy Meets World. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, she's out there. Like, hey, I'm Topanga. I'm still ready to do. I'm like, I'm available. You know what I mean? Do you want to pay me to be on your reality show? You know what I mean? Do you want me to be a guest on your talk show? Like, I'm available. Like, Macaulay Culkin's not really living that life. So I think that's kind of why, like, when he shows up, people are like, that's cool. It's Mac. Let's go. And then like the whole Michael Jackson of it all, right? And then like McCulley seems to have come out all right on the back end. You know what I mean? People are just kind of like, hey, that kid had a rough deal and he seems all right. Good for him.
Good for him. We had a lot of returns as well. We did have The Undertaker.
How dare you bring up returns knowing full well that there's only one return that I cared about and it didn't happen.
The Undertaker comes out, rides the bike around the ring and leaves with Rhea. That was kind of a nice thing, a little nod to Rhea from The Undertaker. We'll talk about that match here in a little bit. We had John Cena coming back to begin his year of Cena. And you know what?
Electric.
He's going to be in the Royal Rumble.
That was an electric promo, though. That was an electric promo out of John Cena, man. You got to see a little bit of why he's John Cena right there. You know what I mean? Like, he came out, that crowd was big. At first, they were kind of, I don't know, and then Cena had him eating out of the palm of his hand by the end of it, man. He's a pro.
Chris King, is John Cena going to win the Royal Rumble?
I want him to. Please, because you know what that means? That means CM Punk isn't. But also, like, this... I think it's a little bit weird and odd, and I know it's the WWE, but to have this streak of his that he's lost like this many singles matches in a row, and it's
televised singles matches, just for the record.
1,400 and some odd days. Like, let's get this over and let's have him start winning matches, and the best way to do that is have him win.
Ladies and gentlemen, whose music is that? Chad Gable, come on down and give our guy John Cena a win. Let's go. Andrade, please come on down and lay in the ring.
And we had another pretty big return. Hulk Hogan and the Real American Beer came out. And gentlemen, people didn't like
Jimmy, I'll just go here. The Mrs. Morgan asked me. Okay, she said, Rod, what happened with Hulk Hogan? Like, why did? And I was like, and I literally, this is audio, so folks that are listening, I apologize if you're watching. This will be better. Yeah. I kind of go. And then I put my hand on my head, and I was like, well, I was like, there's a lot with Hulk Hogan. I was like, there's a lot with Hulk Hogan. I was like, the bottom line is, we as true wrestling fans, we wish that Hulk Hogan wasn't our guy, right? Like, we wish that we didn't have to deal with all of the baggage that comes with Hulk Hogan, the misogyny, the racism, the politics, right? Like, we wish that we didn't have to deal with all of that comes along with Hulk Hogan. But he is still the GOAT. So I've got to be honest with you, in my visceral reaction, when the music hit, I was pumped. And then when people started booing him, I was like, how dare you? I was like, I knew in the back of my head, I was like, he's kind of a scumbag, but how dare you?
Chris, can you separate Hulk Hogan, the WWE character, from Terry Bollea, the person?
Yes, I can. It didn't bug. I mean, I see Hulk Hogan on WWE, close to the squared circle. Yeah, it brings back a whole lot of memories to me, right? Like, hey, I was on that crew that did the WWE Superstars cartoon back in the 80s, all right? So, I have a lot of love for Hulk Hogan and what he's done for the WWE.
Well, you even had to do some looping for his voice from time to time, didn't you? You had to loop into his voice from time to time, didn't you?
There was some voice modulators going on. I did what I could.
That's really all the returns we had, except for, of course, The Rock that we talked about. And we had the tribal rules match tribal combat match between Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. It was a big event type match that the WWE likes to do. No DQ, 1,000 run-ins. I will say, I legitimately popped when Kevin Owens ran in to try to get Roman Reigns to lose, because Kevin Owens hates Roman Reigns. He should hate Roman Reigns, and everyone should hate Roman Reigns. That's my boy.
That was a cool moment. I love KO. I popped a little bit for that moment, too. I will talk about this match and pose a question to the group. Would you guys have been more excited coming out of that match if The Rock, when he walked into the ring, just reached over and slapped the crap out of Roman Reigns and took the Ulafala and walked out? That's totally what I thought was going to happen.
I think that's what a lot of people thought, because the crowd kind of went hush. For a crowd that was filled with celebrities, and you can see later in the show where the celebrities were, because they had left a lot. And again, not everyone was sitting next to Bill Simmons. They just put him in there and then left. But anyway, people were waiting for that turn, and it just never happened, Chris. I really think it probably should have, if that's where we're going. But if not, I mean, he hugged Cody Rhodes. He said thank you to Cody Rhodes. He hates Cody Rhodes, Chris.
Yeah, I really wanted to see the final boss show up, and that's not who we got. We got Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I wanted to see the final boss. I thought maybe he'll put the necklace on, right? I didn't think about attacking Roman, but like maybe I thought he would put it on and be like,
the Ulafala, please, Chris. We are big in American Samoa. Come on,
whatever wooden looking pepper necklace they want to use, like whatever. But I thought
the
The
views
Rock.
expressed by Chris King do not necessarily reflect those of the Morgan Podcasting Network or the Yeah We Know podcast.
I second that. I love Samoan culture. I want more Samoans to listen to this wrestling podcast. I do not second Chris.
Anyways, I wanted to see heel Rock, the final boss, not what we got.
I thought it was good that Solo kicked out of what we thought was going to be the end. I thought, Roman obviously has to kick out too. I thought overall it was a fun match. It was a little pretty sloppy here and there just as far as so many run-ins, but I thought it was a good entry. And after the first hour, one match, I was okay with Raw on Netflix so far. Travis Scott, Rod, came out and...
What are you going to say, Jim?
What was he doing live on TV in an arena that is definitely not smoking?
You're gonna ask me to describe for everyone at home what Travis Scott was doing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the magnanimous thing and say, Chris, I will ask you, what was it that Travis Scott was doing as he was walking into the ring there?
Looked like he was just partaking in some festivities.
Yeah, that's true. And I love the fact that afterward, during the press conference, Triple H said, I'm really glad Jey Uso did not participate in the festivities. That was wild. What an entrance, Jey Uso. Like, seriously, how amazing is that? And that's why he didn't come down beforehand, because that was weird that he didn't come down to help Roman out. Wow. That was terrific. He and your boy Drew had a terrific match, Chris.
Listen, it was a good match, and it was quicker than I wanted, but like that ending, reverse roll up ending, that's not what these two guys should end a match as, right? That's not these two wrestlers. They don't do that type of stuff. That's like a Sami Zayn move. That's not a Jey Uso or a Drew McIntyre move.
It's a way to get Drew losing. That's kind of a fluke thing. Right?
It's a Xavier Woods thing, all right? Why you got to take Sami Zayn shots all the time? I don't understand what your deal with Sami Zayn is. Xavier Woods is famous for the roll-up. You should have just went there instead of taking a shot at Sami Zayn that was unnecessary.
You could also, there was other people in the crowd too, former wrestlers, current wrestlers as well. Nakamura got a very big ovation, and LA Knight got a big ovation, but you could tell they told him not to do the LA Knight because he didn't do it. And he was just did the one that he does. So I wonder why they didn't tell him to do. They told him not to do that. That was interesting.
Because he hasn't won anything in forever. Because he's essentially Chad Gable. That's why they told him not to do it.
How dare you? Women's World Championship match. I think this puts an end to the feud. I think they're moving on. Liv Morgan gets destroyed by Rhea Ripley. Dom gets destroyed by Rhea Ripley. I love the fact that Dom tried to go with her, and everyone knew where that was going. I thought it was a good end of the feud. Let's see what else is what's next for Rhea. I was expecting Rod. This is where I was expecting Charlotte to walk out behind her, but we got the dead man instead.
You better hope for something, because congratulations to Rhea for finally ridding herself of the Liv Morgan problem that she's had for months now, and congratulations to Liv. You had yourself a great calendar 2024, but we're going right back to where we were with Rhea, where there is no foreseeable challenger for her. There is no great storyline for her. So you guys better be praying that my girl comes back. You guys give me guff on this podcast all the time about constantly wanting it, but we are desperate for anybody to seem like a foil to Rhea Ripley, and why not the 13-time women's world champion? Let's go.
Chris, what did you think of the match?
I thought it was good. I really thought that they were going to do some sort of disqualification, because they had mentioned that this doesn't benefit Rhea if there's a disqualification, and I thought for sure Raquel or Dom would interfere and get caught and blah, 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 and Liv would still have the belt. And then I thought when Dom was trying to get back with Rhea that we were going to see Raquel come behind her and then them attack Rhea. I thought maybe that could happen. So I don't know. It was a good match. I didn't understand necessarily how the ending happened and where they go from now. Like, what happens with this new Judgment Day? I mean, I don't know where they go. I think they had other opportunities there.
Well, I think this might be the beginning of the end of that, and I think we're going to probably see Dom and Liv start breaking apart here. Maybe Dom going with someone else, Rod, that's a little taller than Liv, perhaps, like you said last week. Main event of the evening. Got to give it to them. They went hard. They went long. CM Punk was dying at the end. Seth Rollins, CM Punk. I love that they started off, Rod, kind of in a lockup, just punching each other. That's how to do a feud.
Yeah, I continue to not love Phil, but I'm really grappling with why I don't love him, right? Like, I will sit there and I will say to myself, well, he's cocky, he's arrogant. And I'm like, well, who isn't in the WWE? So why is it that I find CM Punk more grating than other people, right? Like, he certainly goads the fans into trying to, chant his name, but my guy Seth Rollins does the same thing. You know what I mean? So, like, what is it about CM Punk that I don't like? And it gets down to the matches. And even then, I have to give him a break, right? Because he's advanced in age, and you said it himself, he just doesn't have the wind or the stamina or the ability to hit some of those moves anymore. So, like, what I'm left with is this guy who gets all of this buildup, right? Like, he's Maximus, right? He's Maximus entering the gladiator arena, right? Everybody is chanting his name. He's got the great music. And then you see he's got gray streaks in his beard, all right? He comes down into the ring, and he's kind of just punching guys, and he's locking dudes up, and he's hitting guys with his knee. You know what I mean? And then you can definitely tell when he gets winded. And so what I'm left with is this guy's supposed to be the tip top, but then what you're seeing doesn't match what you're being fed. And so I'm just left with that. I don't know. It leaves me a little bit cold, but I'm trying, Jim. I'm trying is what that long drawn out answer I gave you there was, is I'm trying to give Phil respect, but I'm just not there yet.
I mean, he did a lot more than he has recently. When you're his age, you can do more if you don't wrestle as much. Seth Rollins continues to be an MVP level person here. I don't know where he goes next with this. I'm going to be interested to see who they pair him with. He shouldn't really be in the world title picture. Should he be maybe in an intercontinental title picture? I don't know if you really want that either. So does a returning, I don't know, does he go against John Cena coming up? Is something along those lines. But Rollins has had a lot of losses in the past couple of years, a lot of big losses. It may be time to start building him back up a little bit and get him some wins.
Let's go a few more losses, and then let's have him just absolutely snap. And then his snapping is on John Cena, right? He starts yelling at John Cena about, where have you been? Now you want to come back for one last ride in the sunset? We carry this on our back. Like, just a continuation of what he's been yelling at Punk about, right? Like, Let's go. Let's have Seth Rollins go back to being crazy and just yelling and screaming at people and attacking folks. Like, let's go. Come on. Crazy Seth Rollins. I want to see it. The Monday Night Messiah. Let's go. Part 2.
They had a big Gunta video package. Interesting that the champion was not on. The champion of Raw was not on the first Raw of Netflix. It shows you where he stands, I guess. But he did have the good video package. I do like the fact that they featured him there. Would have been nice to see him on the show, though.
Chris, did you happen to catch this video package as our video vignette expert here on the podcast?
Yeah, but I love everything Gunther does, right? He has proven to be a legitimate WWE superstar. So, of course, I thought it was great. And to be fair to him, neither one of the world championship belts, the heavyweight or the universal, was on the line for this Raw, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Cody Rhodes was in person. And so was Kevin Owens, who was the Winged Eagle champion, of course.
Well, apparently those are the face and the heel of the WWE now, which brings me to a question. All right.
Yes, sir.
And as the experts you guys are, you tell me if I'm interpreting to this wrong. But in the CM Punk Rollins match, in that match, Punk's face, Rollins heel, correct? If the WWE is dictating what they want us to think, Punk's face, Rollins heel.
I think this was more of a. I mean, I guess if you had to say yes, if it has to be one face, one heel, yes. But I think this was more face. I really do.
Jay versus Drew. Jay Uso's face, Drew McIntyre heel, right? According
no question.
to right?
No question. Yeah.
So I am told that in the WWE, faces typically don't get over in matches and things like that. Then why in the hell are my guys, Drew and Rollins, keep losing even when they're supposedly heels in these matches?
Because Vince McMahon isn't necessarily in charge anymore and doesn't want all heels and all the heats every single matchup. Now they'll get what they want. They'll be fine, Chris. Don't worry. But you have to send people home happy sometimes. You really do.
My guy, Seth Rollins, that's where we're at now? You're saying my guy, Seth Rollins?
It's happening, Rod.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend, and CM Punk is an enemy. So, yes, I am pro Rollins. Rollins my guy. It's going to be the Mega Powers Unite with him and Drew coming once again. It's going to happen, Rod. I'm speaking it into existence.
I'm going to have to be a Braun Strowman guy.
And with that, you've been listening to the Avenue Podcast, part of the Marinos Podcast Network. You're learning with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod.
Well, I got one other thing real quick here. It's a quick WWE Rod Nation, all right? And boo to you, Triple H, all right? Yeah, I'm saying boo to you, Triple H. I don't think sending Corey Graves all the way down to NXT is warranted, all right? I'm sorry. All the guy does is exactly what you want him to do all the time. All the guy does is know everything about the business. The only thing he suffers from is not being Pat McAfee. I'm sorry that he literally cannot inhabit the personality of somebody else who you just allow to waltz in and out as they please and consistently come on your TV and not know about the program. Yeah, that's right, Pat. Start boning up or I'm coming for you, okay? You can do what you want with your Barry man-to-men doing your stupid radio show for ESPN, but if you're going to come on Monday Night Raw on the global entertainment leader Netflix as supposedly the color analyst, know something about wrestling.
I love you, Pat McAfee. Goodbye, Net. Yeah.
Of course, Chris throws that in.